Hello, everyone. So wonderful to be able to be here reflecting with you one of the many beautiful chapters of the book, The Way, the Truth, and the Life by our brother Emmanuel through the hands of Chico Xavier. What a blessing it is to dive into this book and every week be able to at least learn a little bit of these very, very wonderful teachings that help us to become better, to grow and to expand, not only as a human being, but as a spirit. So let's go. So, chapter 76, it is titled Constructions. And in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, Jesus says, "You are the light of the world. The city constructed upon a hill cannot be hidden." Wow, this is beautiful. But let's see what Emmanuel has to say. And Emmanuel goes on to explain this beautiful verse by saying, "The gospel is replete with loving invitations for people to grow in conformance with the Lord's example. Christ followers do not always grasp this great this great need for self-enlightenment in order for that great endeavor to be accomplished harmoniously. A vast percentage of modern day disciples concern themselves with other people's spiritual growth, but they neglect the opportunity to achieve their own. Of course, it is very hard to find such an opportunity amongst the gratifications of human existence because the blessed resource of illumination is often hid in the obstacles, perplexities, and shadows along the road. The master was very clear in his explanations. In order to become the light of the world, disciples should be like cities constructed upon hilltops where they can never be hidden, so that workers for Christ may function as expression of the light during their lifetimes. They must ascend the mountain of exemplification in spite of the difficulties of the arduous climb, presenting themselves to all as a Christian construction. Such an undertake lasts forever. The vicissitudes of the passion cannot bring down a building of such nature. Blows from stones leave it intact, but if anyone does manage to dash it to pieces, the fragments constitute the continuing of its light as a sublime remnant is scattered all over the world. For it was in this way that the first martyrs of Christianity sowed the faith. Let's take a brief moment just to soak it all in because there's so many beautiful teachings that comes from this passage. Wow. Well, let's start reflecting upon this idea that we are light. It may be hard sometimes to even grasp the idea that we are little tiny lights that are expanding as we grow, spiritually speaking. Throughout our many different incarnations, we are given the opportunity to turn those particular parts of us that are not yet completely, I would say, matured into moments where we are able to work on those parts of us, grow it, mold it, make it stronger, and even in the future, turn it into virtues. We are children of God. I know we often hear you're children of God, we are children of God, but have you ever stopped to think about how beautiful this is? We are children of God, which means we have God's DNA. We live in God, and God lives in our heart. There's no way we can get rid of it. It's here. And even for our brothers and sisters that yet do not have this understanding, they will one day. And it is so beautiful because God loves and always waits for us. So we are light. Now, let's think about when we start to awaken to this beautiful understanding that we are light, that at any point, any time in our life, we are able to transform ourselves, to be able to grow and evolve. And especially very grateful for Spiritism that keeps showing to us every single moment throughout different studies that our light, it's so important to be shown to the world. So the question is, why are we not showing our light to the world? What are we so afraid of? When Jesus says, "You are the light of the world, a city constructed upon a hill cannot be hidden." So, my friends, let's not be afraid to show our light. But knowing that when we do show our light, we might make mistakes, and that's okay. We are human beings we are spirits living a human experience, but we are still living in the planet Earth. A planet of trials and expiations, which means we're not going to be perfect. We'll never get to perfection. The only perfect, not person, because we cannot call God person, but God is the only one who is perfection. We will always improve throughout the eternity. So knowing that means let's just go on. Let's put forth all these beautiful lights that we have, and we all have gifts. So why not show to the world? Why not help as much as possible? When Emmanuel says the gospel is replete with love and invitations for people to grow in conformance with the Lord's example, Christ's followers do not always grasp this great need for self-enlightenment in order for that great endeavor to be accomplished harmoniously. A vast percentage of modern-day disciples concern themselves with other people's spiritual growth, but they neglect the opportunity to achieve their own. So this is also a very, I would say, important step, because in order for us to continue to show our light and build our faith, right, our house upon the hilltop, it requires a lot of self-enlightenment, a lot of self-growth. So following Christ, following the Lord's example, it's arduous, it's hard, but this is what we are meant to do. I know that it is easier to concern about other people's spiritual growth, very easy to point to our brothers and sisters next to us, or family members, or spouses, children, community, and so on and so forth, because it's easier to do that. Not that you cannot reflect upon their actions, but reflecting with a lot of reflection back upon ourselves, right? How can I do better? If I was in this person's position and I made this mistake, how could I done it better? And then Try to bring that example, even in a micro level, towards your life, towards how you deal with things. And that we then take away the focus, the laser focus on other people, and we always bring back to ourselves. So neglection, an opportunity for our own growth, it's something that we always have to think about, because neglecting our spiritual growth will make this construction of our house on the top of the hill much, much slower. And the more we grow, the more we have the resources, the more we have the material, what happens is our house becomes stronger. And another point that I would like to bring, of course, there's so many enlightening points in this chapter, and I invite you all to read it again slowly, to do some reflection, even some reading, some writing about it. And the third paragraph says, of course, it is very hard to find such an opportunity amongst the gratifications of human existence, because the blessed resource of illumination is often hid in the obstacles, perplexities, and shadows along the road. What does this mean? The opportunity to grow, it's often hidden in the obstacles of our lives. And what do we want to do with those obstacles? We want to push it aside. What would we like to do with the difficult personalities in our lives? We want to block. Not to say that a distance sometimes, depending on the situation, it's healthy. But you can never block the person per se, especially the energy. Because the energy that the person is emitting, and that energy, it's from the person to you, you are reflecting back to that person, and there's something there. That energy in between, it's what invites us to work on whatever is being triggered, whatever is happening within yourself that made that very, very difficult for you to deal with. So that's the energy that we work on, right? And then that person or the situation, it seems like becomes an obstacle for our spiritual growth, but actually it's the opposite. They become a blessing in our lives. Why? Because they invite us to learn our triggers, analyze why we got triggered, sit with our emotions, pay attention to our thoughts, the thoughts that are coming. If we are able to take advantage of this opportunity, then we dive deeper into those thoughts, those emotions, and we try to work in those areas that are being squeezed inside of us, that is making us very uncomfortable. Then we grow. And that's how we are able to get really a lot of good materials to build, to construct this house upon a hill that makes it stronger. Right? Because if we ask Jesus, can I please have some patience? Or help me have patience? What usually we see? We see that a lot of the things that are happening in our lives invite us to have patience. Right? And if we're able to turn it around and see the other angles of those situations and take advantage for our spiritual growth, then that's amazing. And that's when we don't focus on others. We learn we observe, just like driving a car. We look at the rear mirror, the side mirrors. We just look, oh, it's there. Okay. Would have made that turn? No. Okay. Well, God bless you. But then you stay here in your car. We don't stop and just analyze the other person and don't do anything to our lives. That's when we really miss the opportunity. And let's go for one more. The master was very clear in his explanations. In order to become the light of the world, disciples should be like cities constructed upon hilltops where they can never be hidden, so that workers of the Christ may function as expression of the light during their lifetimes. They must ascend the mount of exemplification in spite of the difficulties of the arduous climb, presenting themselves to all as a Christian construction. And such undertaking lasts forever. That's why it is a continuation. It's a non-stop growth, growing, expanding. Yes, there's going to be a lot of cries. Yes, it's going to be very difficult. Yes, but guess what? When we turn it to Christ, the burden becomes less painful. He will not take those rocks that are on our shoulders and personally, I would say, right? I'd carry them for us, but he will be alongside us, giving us the strength, the positivity, the prayers, the vibration that we need to carry our own crosses. Let's not focus on somebody else that's not able to carry the cross well. It's between them and God always. The question is, are we carrying our own crosses? Can we reflect that at nighttime and see, hey, did I do a good job today? Oh, did I make a mistake? Let me maybe call the person, send a text, or reflect. How can I make it better? Right? And everything that's constructed with love will last forever. And maybe what you constructed here on the planet Earth, materially speaking, was with a lot of love. But hey, someone maybe can bring it down as well. But the energy of love that's there will never, never get destroyed. So with that being said, thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Chico Xavier, for this selfless work. Thank you, Jesus, for giving us so much strength. Thank you for all the love you give to us. Help us to recognize that we are children of God. Really understand it. I know that our understanding sometimes is very little, but allow us to be able to understand it more and more every single moment as we grow our faith through charity, through hard working, through self-analysis, through forgiving ourselves, but also others as much as possible. Not looking to be perfect, but really analyzing our behaviors. Thank you so much for everything you give to us. Thank you for all the love, Jesus. Thank you for blessing our family members, ourselves, always with so much love you give to us. Just the beautiful air that we breathe, the beautiful nature that brings so much joy to our lives. We thank you for the water that we drink, the food that we eat. And even if today, God, we see ourselves with very little resources to none, we know that we are being taken care of. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. God bless you all. And have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Wonderful weekend.